Hey there, everybody. We
Hi.
are back. This is
All
been
you
a fun
cool
week.
cats and kittens. Oh, wait, wrong show.
Carol Baskin.
How about this? Can I do this?
Yeah. Oh, geez.
That's copyrighted.
No, that's copyrighted. We ain't
Copyrighted.
Dude,
Episode
it's not
19.
right to speak ill of the dead. So.
Welcome to our show. That's all I know.
You sound so serious. I'm like, welcome to our show.
Yeah, I know. What was that?
Is this a
I'm
dead
practicing
ghost
for
show?
Saturday.
Oh, yeah, we're doing the ghost show.
What are we
Saturdays.
doing Saturday?
Saturday for Erie, Florida. This is Marc Muncie from Erie, Florida. Elizabeth Abbott, the editor of Erie, Florida, over there. We are filming our new show, Erie Travels, and we're going to Brooksville, and we will be at the infamous May Stringer House. For those of you who don't know, one of the most haunted houses in Florida, if not in the world. And then certainly one of the most investigated. We'll also be going to the train station up there, which has lots of paranormal activity recorded. And weather holding, depending on if this storm out in the Gulf kind of affects us too much, we might be hitting a couple cemeteries in the area as well. We also intend to hit my best part of the trip, Coney Island hot dogs.
Oh, yeah, right there.
Where Elvis ate. And we're going to have an Elvis dog. So these will all be on the first episode of Erie Travels when that's ready. This is all filming this weekend.
So we're talking about ghosts for 1 minute. I got to say something. So the past week when I go to bed, I usually put my laptop in sleep mode, and I have an external keyboard and mouse for my gaming. They've been lighting up for no reason. I'm like, okay, been unplugging them. 2 nights ago, YouTube started playing when my computer's on sleep mode. So I took a video.
Okay.
I'm like, this is weird. Last night, I'm like, sleep mode, everything's good. Right again, when I'm settling down, almost asleep, my external monitor comes on. Like, all right, break
Did
out
it
my
show
camera.
like an image, or was it just
Yeah, it showed the
just turned
wallpaper.
on? Okay.
So I went over, took video of it. The monitor turns off, then turns back on again. Like, this is weird. Let me unplug everything once again.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
Certainly,
tonight.
unusual.
Something's weird.
But, as
neighborhood.
when we team up with investigative groups, first thing they look at is the electric in the area. Then they'll look at if anything else is going on in the area, possibly external electrics.
Yeah.
And then that's where it kind of blows. That's what they'd look into first.
But usually I unplug from the power supply of my laptop at night. Because the only time I leave it plugged in is when I'm working all day, because I need to be powered all day long. So it's kind of weird.
Definitely interesting. We are getting all kinds of weird emails and reports right now because everybody in quarantine is seeing things during the day. Everybody thought ghosts only at night. No, they happen during the day.
Or maybe you're like our character for today, and you have multiple personalities, and your other multiple personalities are turning on the computer in your sleep.
No.
I'm not having any
That was my
blackout
way to
moments
bridge the
where I
things
don't
together.
remember
I tried,
anything.
guys. I tried.
It's all good.
Who are we talking about?
We got an hour. We'll get to them.
Who are we talking about,
I
Michael?
don't know.
Well, let's
Batman,
introduce you
Marvel.
Me?
Yeah, who are you?
What do you mean?
Who
Who
are
am
you?
I? I'm a
What do you
girl that
do?
knows nothing about this Moon Knight that we are talking about today. I mean, I know some things.
Well,
That his name is Moon Knight,
Well, we'll get to him.
and there we go.
We'll get to him. Let's
so let's start off with emails. You can email us at comicbook101tv.com, info at comicbook101tv.com. Follow us on Twitter at comicbook101tv.com, Facebook, Instagram. I don't know who runs the Twitter, though. I don't do it.
It's not me.
I don't know how to tweet.
So we
just
have a
joined this
Twitter,
stuff.
but nobody uses it.
Well, we'll have
Except for
to
the
fix that.
ghost.
Yeah, hopefully the ghost is doing it because I'm not doing it. I'm bad at it.
Well, we'll fix that. We'll fix that.
So I also want to mention, right across the hall from us is Jeff and Holly's Collectibles. On the table here, we have a Jawa from them. And I did talk to them the other day. They definitely would love to help us out when we're doing characters. If they have pops, they said we can bring them over here and display them.
Yeah, we're going to be trying to do like an actual 5 to 10 minute segment on the pops themselves that relate to the characters that we're talking about. So if you guys think that's a great idea, definitely tell us. We're going to do it anyway. But if you have
Regardless,
any,
we're doing it, apparently.
But if you have any suggestions, because we collect pops But we also
Well,
don't
they collect.
know everything out there in the universe. So if you have a suggestion for a character and you know a cool action figure that goes along with that character, let us know, and you might see it on the show.
Also, Yancey Street Comics
They
is a
got
big
great
supporter
stuff,
of
too.
us. They've been recently doing little auctions on their Facebook page for figures, and the 3 big giant Marvel figures I have here, I actually won. I think I paid maybe $5 total for the 3 of them, and you
I
can
think
only
Moon Knight's
see
hiding.
Yeah.
2 there. There we go. There's
It's
the
the
3rd one.
Spider Beast. When Spider-Man got mutated and
So
actually
they-
turned into a spider.
They had another one last week, and they had Moon Knight, and I tried winning him, and I just got outbid.
Ah, that
I think
happens.
he
He's
sold like for 15.
He's a popular character.
Yeah,
so.
and the Silver Surfer I wanted was gone.
Oh, that's kind of
yeah.
cool too.
So-
We'll have to talk about him in a future episode.
Yeah. So the only 2 I won last week, because these were 2 weeks ago. Last week I won the spotted Spider-Man looking dude,
Polka Dot.
Polka Dot, and Human Torch.
Oh, that's
Those
cool.
good ones.
And that was a funny chat. John
Dots and-
Sankey's Cowman.
Yeah.
Yeah, trying to figure out who the dotted character was. Even you didn't know at the time,
I didn't
right?
know who he was.
But-
It's Spider-Man villain. He's like made of black holes. And so
Huh.
he's like Roger Rabbit's portable hole.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Anything, Spider-Man's trying to punch him, and it's just like poop, 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 poop into the holes, and they come out on the other side. And then Spidey starts using his spider sense to figure out how to do it. But he can also take them off and throw them and make portals.
Interesting.
Stuff,
Yancey Street always has anything you need, it looks like.
Yeah. Definitely going to have to check out that Polka Dot dude.
Oh, yeah.
And again, you can find Marc at Erie, Florida.
ErieFlorida.com. We're at Erie, Florida on all the social medias. Erie Travel's just getting started, so we'll post that up when we get the actual episodes done and all that. So.
If you're in the Orlando area, of course, Coliseum of Comics.
Yes, definitely. So before we start with Cosplayer of the Week, how was everybody's week? What's new?
Oh, that's why Elizabeth's on fire. Tell us, Elizabeth.
How was your week?
Wow.
Last week you had a leak, I think. So.
The leak has become a puddle.
Oh, no.
It has become, we need to tear apart your whole kitchen and redo it. So, yeah, we're going to, I'm getting a new kitchen.
That-
It's
Fine.
glass
Normally
half
that would
full
be
kind of
good.
thing. So,
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm choosing. I'm choosing to, not being able to do any editing or any real work at all because I had to take everything from one side of the house, put it on the other side of the house.
While flooded.
While flooding.
Yeah, so, yeah.
I had to grab, I had a bunch of action figures actually I have a bookcase and it was right by. I was like, oh no, get them out. I had to move them all the way to the other side because,
Because
nerd.
you always got to watch that because then suddenly you're usually okay unless you see a guy building an ark. Near
Yeah.
you. Then worry. But,
I like the rain and stuff, but not in the ocean and whatnot, but not in my house. But yeah.
So I think you cursed me because after you had a flood, my bathroom flooded out.
Oh, geez.
No, I could see that happening.
So rule of 3,
That was
I better
not my
be careful.
fault. So yeah, we
yeah.
had to get a plumber. He actually came out yesterday.
Good thing there's not extra rain
Fixed
coming
it.
in this weekend to possibly screw up our filming.
Might want to check that attic space you have, Mark, your roof. I feel like there might be some leaks there.
Yeah,
Then you'll
it
be
was funny.
flooded.
I actually had a home insurance guy come check us out because we're trying to get new
Get it
insurance.
now.
And because this thing called hurricane season, and they came in and did an inspection, and they were like, "How old's your roof?" And I said, "Oh, we just had that done. It was."
That's a lie.
And then I was like, "How long ago is good?" And they're like, "Oh, within 10 years." I said,
Within 10 years.
maybe 11. And I looked it up today, and it was 11 years. So it's
Oh.
time for a new roof at some point, but that can wait till after hurricane season.
Yeah.
So
Hopefully it'll hold up one more year. Then.
yeah, just
one more season.
One more, we got it.
So yeah, it's been a fun week. My battery died last week for my car. Finally got that.
I
fixed.
remember that.
That was not fun. For a few
Wait to
days.
save you and
Yeah.
take you home.
Yep.
But that's done. And I actually started on Facebook a new group that everybody can join.
Yeah.
Let's
talk about that.
If you're into cosplay, anything nerdy convention-wise, there's a Facebook page called Cosplay for All. Feel free to join that. We're going to be having everything cosplay-related, conventions, and all that in there.
And that ties into who is our cosplayer of the week.
So yes, let's go ahead and do that. Cosplayer of the week.
Let's see this. An episode. Come on.
So
Half that goes into water and Culver's.
and her
Not
coffee that
sponsored.
she
And her
keeps
coffee that
demanding
she
that I
keeps
never
demanding,
get.
We need a coffee funds for Elizabeth. Yes.
Okay, so we do have a I think we do have a page where you can donate money. So I got to find the name of that again so we can make it coffee fun for you, Elizabeth.
Coffee fund for Elizabeth.
No one is going to donate for my Starbucks coffee, but if they did,
No,
like,
you know what?
I'd
People
love you
donated for
forever.
stupider things for me to be hit with a longboard.
That was amazing. I was so
So
glad
I'm
that I got
pretty
that
sure
opportunity.
somebody will buy you a coffee.
You never know.
If they pay $25 to see me hit, there goes. Support this station.
There we
goes
go.
Cash App. Buy her coffee and not me being hit with
Donate
a board.
$5 and I'll hit him with a longboard. So your
It
cosplayer
went
of
from
the
25 to 5.
Well, you know, no.
depreciation.
It's been done before. It's not unique anymore.
It's,
I'm hoping my friend isn't watching because last time we did this, she donated really quickly.
Yeah. So anyway,
But yes, so back to the topic. Cosplayer of the
Yes.
week, we have Marvel Fanboy 82.
oh, perfect.
nice.
So he decided to cosplay Steel for the first time back in 2011, and he's been hooked ever since then.
Very fantastic.
Cosplay gives him the opportunity to
I like
explore his
that.
artistic side and bring some of his favorite comic book characters to life. Right now, classic Spider-Man and Skeletor are his favorite
Oh,
ones.
Taskmaster. Heck
Yes.
yeah. Classic Taskmaster.
And the reason I actually picked him is we should have it maybe the next one or so. There
Oh,
it is.
hey.
And
The Fist of Khonshu.
next cosplay he's going to be doing is Spider-Man from Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Yes, the best
Nice.
one.
Again, you can find him, Marvel Fanboy 82 at Instagram.
Should we just do Spider-Man next week?
It's, we can always do it. I like a
can.
Skeletor there, though.
Yeah,
Oh,
his
that's
Skeletor
rad.
is amazing.
Yeah.
Because I knew we were talking about a certain character today, so I was looking for
A Moon-
cosplayer, Moon
yeah.
Knight.
Yeah.
And there's not that many people
Not
that
a lot.
cosplay Moon Knight.
So there he is.
So-
his first appearance.
There goes a little teaser.
But that's all good.
Before we start talking about Moon Knight, let's go ahead and play a little video we have of him from a little cartoon.
Oh, yeah. So for those that don't know him.
Oh, let's move! And now, foul demon, face the vengeance of the Moon Knight.
Definitely not Santa. Everyone else gets carolers at their door. Ah, I get Cape McCapester and his metal cylinders of pain. Don't you know this is the time of year for a little peace on Earth, goodwill to Spider-Man?
The moon led me to this heinous villain so I could stop her, and the moon will not tolerate your interference.
The moon? Is that code for something? Whoa! No way I'm letting you near that little girl.
I will not allow this spider-face villain to stand in your way. I, the moon's knight of vengeance, must carry out your luminous will.
Are you seriously talking to the moon? As in, the cow jumped over?
There is more to the moon than childish stories.
Whoa, buddy. Here I thought a tree trying to bite me would be the strangest thing I'd see all night. Say goodnight, moon. You okay? So, you know this guy?
Look out!
And that, true believers, is why I don't wear a cape.
Wow.
Okay.
So
I get it.
Apparently, that's like the only video I could find of.
he
Moon Knight
hasn't been in a
anything.
lot. Yeah, and that's kind of the thing. A lot of people refer to him as Marvel's Batman. You even did in our
Yeah.
post for this, which I was unhappy with, but that's okay. He's so much more than Marvel's Batman, and that's why we wanted to talk about him
So,
tonight.
why did you want to talk about him this week?
The reason I brought him up actually. This is for me. The reason was the big event, Marvel's big event right now, is called the Age of Khonshu. They're coming back to the comic stores for the first time, and this event was scheduled before all this, and now it's finally happening. And now a lot of people are like, "Who the heck's Moon Knight? Why does he get an age?" You know, because usually it's Age of Apocalypse, you know, Age of Ultron. You know, that's the big event. So who the heck's Khonshu? And I'm like, "Oh, it's freaking Moon Knight!" And people are like, "Who? Isn't that just Marvel's Batman?" No, he is so much more than Marvel's Batman.
Hashtag offended.
I was a moderate fan, I'll be honest. I'm not a huge fan of him, but as someone who has epilepsy and so some mental cognition issues here and there, you will see that happen, and this guy is the poster boy for Marvel mental illness character that does good.
Okay. Before we go into them, there's somebody comment on the Facebook page, so I got to bring it up because we love to reply to our fans.
Okay.
And
Shoot.
one of our number one fans, or Elizabeth's number one fan, Gabriel,
Hey!
says she drinks half of a coffee a week on average, so it won't cost much to fund her
That
coffee.
is true. That is true. He is
Fantastic.
correct. Way to call me out there, but it is accurate information, yeah. I'm a pretty
awesome.
cheap date.
Yeah, very much for coffee.
Very,
I'll
very-
agree with that.
that's true.
I take her and Carrie out when we go on our trips.
Carrie gets like this giant, like frozen,
giant
like give me
mocha-
extra whip
Yeah.
and caramel on the side. I'm like, well, can I just get like a tall black coffee?
Yeah.
Like, can I just get like it just, just nothing in there, just black like my soul.
And I'd like a tea.
Yeah.
Because the time we all went to Starbucks, I forgot what drink it was.
I like
think
the cloud. I'm into the cloud fancy
that was good.
macchiatos. Ugh.
I actually
I
enjoyed
went
that.
from like being like the
And I
I'm a
think-
man coffee, and I
I
went to
don't think
like
you even finished that.
shut up.
Let's see, this weekend I went to Coffee Shop of Horrors.
Yes.
which
Oh,
we'll
I'm
be
so
filming
jealous.
Plug them
Well,
in.
we're going to be filming
We're
there
gonna be filming
for Erie Travels, and I was just going there to scope out the place and say hi again.
Mm-hmm.
And man, that place is amazing, and they are now doing in their shop. This is in Claremont, Monteverde.
Yeah.
And they are doing ice creams,
Oh, are
coffee
they?
ice creams. They're making, and there's a soft serve. Instead of using water, they're using coffee. And
Tip us so we can get
my.
ice cream
The
coffee.
people there are awesome.
They're
I've
great.
met them at
They're
Spooky
super great.
Empire, and I always get coffee from them there.
Yeah, they're a staple of Spooky
Yeah.
and all that. So they're a staple at a lot of cons. So if you haven't tried them, Coffee Shop of Horrors, they ship all over the world, and they are amazing.
Yeah.
Some great flavors.
So let's go ahead and talk about Moon Knight. He started in, 1975?
Yeah, as a villain for Werewolf by Night.
Yes.
I think we had that picture up earlier. Yes, there's his first appearance, and he was a mercenary hired to capture Werewolf by Night, and who was John Jameson. No, was it Jack Russell? This is Jack Russell Werewolf before John Jameson got it. Which, yes, Marvel's Werewolf was named Jack Russell after the dog. Thank you very much. We'll do a thing on him at some point because there's a couple different werewolves. But Werewolf by Night was Jack Russell, and Moon Knight's hired to catch him. He gets him, and then realizes that the group he's getting him for is trying to use the Werewolf by Night as a weapon rather than take him off the streets. So he's like, oh, screw this, and so he lets him loose. They team up and fight the bad guys, and so that's it. He was meant as a one-shot, but nothing's ever a one-shot in Marvel. And the two writers, was it Loeb, I think, fell in love with the character and decided to bring him back, and they gave him a one-shot as like a backup in one of the Marvel 2-in-1s. And then, so from there he goes on, and
So
that's.
I know in Marvel Spotlight 28, it was Marv Wolfman and Len Wen.
Wolfman and Lynn.
Yeah.
Wolfman and Lynn. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So
that was, so Marvel Spotlight's his first official comic of him.
yes,
That's dedicated to him there.
yep. And this is where they make up his backstory and give him like an introduction.
Yeah,
and
what
all
makes
that.
him unique? Because whenever you mentioned, he's the poster child for mental illness, and you mean that respectfully, how you can. But I always thought that he was like Legion in the sense where Legion also has a bunch of different
personalities and stuff like that?
personalities, but I know that that's a little bit different. I guess
Yeah.
weren't they actually people,
Well-
and now they're.
Well, with
What differentiates
with
him?
Moon Knight, he created identities. He's kind of like the
He made
Shadow
them.
slash Batman. He's like, and everybody.
Yeah.
He's like, I need a secret identity. So originally he was Marc Spector, who was a mercenary and did a lot of shady things. And he's with this mercenary troop, and they kill a professor, and they're going to kill the girl, and he freaks out and is like, and he goes against his troop. So then they almost kill him, and he wanders off into the desert and dies in front of this pyramid at the base of
Oh, okay.
the statue of Khonshu.
Of course, because everything happens in from a pyramid.
Right, and Khonshu, this is kind of the Egyptian god of vengeance, and very similar
like
to
Dr. Fate.
Kind of like
Not
Ghost
Dr.
Rider, a little bit of Dr. Fate,
Okay.
a little bit of everything. And so he's like, you are dead, but I will bring you back if you will be my, Night of Vengeance.
This happens a lot in the Marvel
Khonshu's,
universe,
you
I
know,
feel like.
and your power will be the moon. And, you know, the moon will give you extra powers. So early on, he's got all kinds of crazy superpowers that
Which,
the moon
let's
gives
go ahead
him.
and talk about the superpowers, because
Yeah.
I put them down in the notes. I know that.
Oh, okay.
Moon's
So-
might at night, Spector's speed, strength, agility, reaction time, leaping ability, reflexes, senses, and durability increase as the moon waxed and decrease as it waned. Oh, okay, I
So
see.
when he's like full moon, he's got extra super
So he's
strong.
like, so I said Dr. Fate, I didn't even realize. So he's the moon and Dr. Fate is like, isn't he like of the sun?
Of the sun, yeah.
So they
So-
just made them two like similar origins, but
Again,
like two
Dr.
obviously.
Fate's DC, Moon Knight's Marvel.
But
so yeah.
still, but we're comparing him to Batman,
Yeah.
and so does everyone else.
Spector doesn't have
See what I'm saying?
superpowers when he's himself, but he
Yeah.
has the fist of
Khonshu.
God,
Yeah.
Khonshu.
So he has all these gadgets that he got. He also had like super night vision, and he could see ghosts.
astral vision. Yeah.
And then he can also like hide, like Nightcrawler. They call it shadow walking. Is like where
Yeah.
he's bright white, but he can turn into the shadow.
And he has a healing factor as well.
Yeah, when he's in the
When he's in
moonlight.
direct
Moonlight, he heals better. So, but anyway, it's this. You know, he's this crazy character. So then he uses his mercenary money to build his arsenal of equipment.
So he is a Batman.
So he's very much Batman in this way.
He has like a batarang.
He didn't
type
inherit
thing.
the money. He actually earned
he
it
actually earned iron.
by being bad, though.
Fair enough.
So, and he feels like this is his way of paying his debts.
Okay.
So he
Redemption
they're not batarangs. They're what are they called? The moon crests.
Yeah.
They're the like little.
But he
moon
also
crests.
has like a grappling hook.
Yeah.
He has his own.
He has a
crescent helicopter.
copter called the moon copter,
Yeah.
which is actually done.
I like
Which is
that.
driven by one of his old buddies from the mercenary days, who's actually turned good too. Is his French pilot, who he calls Frenchie. I don't remember his real name. I just know it's called
Frenchie.
Frenchie because it was the 70s and Marvel. All they needed to call the French guy was Frenchie. And
Do not condone.
yeah, no, exactly. But what are you going to call the French guy? Belgie? No, Frenchie. Frenchie works.
Go Perot.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, so he has all this equipment, and he fights crime. That's all. The next time we see him, that's what he's doing. Is he's taking out street thugs. He's kind of low level, like Batman. But he also has this other he creates a persona for that money, and that's what's his name? Lang, I think. Grant. Not Scott Lang. Scott Lang is somebody else.
Ant-Man.
So, Ant-Man. And in the vein of the Shadow and the pulps, they started to try to reinvent him. Like he has Stephen Grant, who is the billionaire playboy, because he knows, oh goodness, crimes are plotted in these big rooms.
Yeah.
It's his
That's
way
his
of
way getting into the big high crime.
right, and he can.
Syndicate.
He
And
can
it's nice to have a lady by your side at times.
Exactly. He's and so he becomes billionaire playboy basically. More millionaire playboy. He's not super rich. And then he's like, but I need to get the word on the street. Now, where the Shadow used his gang of Baker Street irregulars types,
Yeah.
he instead makes another persona. He makes a guy named Jake Lockley, who is a cab driver. Cab drivers always got their ears to the ground. They can hear when crap's going down on the radio and all this. So now he's got a low level and a high level. He's got all of society covered. And then he's Moon Knight. And he's Marc Spector on top of that with all his mercenary skills.
Can only imagine things aren't going to go good for him.
So he's
Creating all these personalities, you're going to lose yourself eventually.
He eventually has a nervous breakdown, which is one of those cool things about this character. He had very few runs of his own stuff. He's usually bit part in Marvel Team Up or bit part in Spider-Man, bit part
Because you
in
said
this.
he was a spotlight, but
Well, Marvel Spotlight was a comic that just kind of gave these little guys, you know, introductions and let them do a few adventures here and there. They kind of rotated whoever was in charge of that. When Thing would want to be apart from Fantastic Four, his Marvel Spotlight eventually turned into a thing called Marvel 2-in-1.
That makes sense.
Whenever Spider-Man would team up with everybody wanted to team up with Spider-Man. They eventually made a comic called Marvel Team Up, and it was basically Spider-Man teaming up with somebody.
So he has this nervous breakdown, and that's kind of when he becomes...
He becomes more than just a regular character, more than just a bit character, more than Marvel's Batman. And he has this breakdown, and they kind of dealt with it in a bunch of different ways. So before we get too much into that, let's talk about some of his other key issues real quick. So
Pull my notes back up. So
Pull
the
your notes
next
back.
one we have is Moon Knight issue Volume 1.
Yeah, it was when he got his series.
Yeah.
I think we saw that a little bit earlier. That's when they actually gave him an ongoing series. I want to say this was, early 80s, I think? Yeah, or mid-80s. Yeah. And they were trying to reinvent him. He had there you see all his personas down on the bottom there.
The next one we have is the Brian Michael Bendis run.
Yes, that reinvents him.
Oh, Bendis.
And that's where he has the breakdown and all this. But he also tries to shake up the character because they moved him to L.A. because they were teaming him up with West Coast Avengers at one point. And they gave him new personalities for this series.
So Bendis is the one that kind of made him...
Well, Bendis took it a different direction. A lot of controversial for this because what he did was his personalities were Captain America, Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Bendis always does stuff
who was
like
the other
that.
one? Thor, I
I
think.
believe so.
Thor, I think. He basically makes them all the Avengers in his head. So he can fight like Captain America.
That's why people were mad, because he's just copying everybody at this point.
Yeah, at this point he becomes Taskmaster.
Most people
but good
get
guy.
mad at Bendis because that's literally just what he does. I mean, I'm not a Bendis fan. I mean, I think he's done one or two good things. I'll be quiet, but
No, it's all
it makes
good.
sense that would be the writer that changed
Bendis
him.
did Daredevil,
Yeah, and it definitely
Said one or two good
was
things.
Punisher.
Punisher. It was definitely a unique take on Moon Knight, and it, again, gives him more personalities. and all
Changed
that.
the way that he
so
was.
they gave him a new take on personalities.
Okay.
Echo is a strong reputation of the character with a disability. Ultron is a new antagonist that he wasn't ready for.
No, he gets his butt handed to him by Ultron.
Mm-hmm.
so.
Alex Maleev, I think that's how you pronounce
Yeah.
his last name. His art style is fantastic.
It totally
for this.
brought a perfect art, and with Bendis, Bendis is popular. Bendis also does some good stuff with
Say
his
one or
bad
two.
stuff. Yeah.
One or two
I love
good
his
thing.
New Avengers was fantastic, but so he's having to fight Ultron, so that's why
Makes
he
sense.
invents these personalities, these new personalities. Now he's inventing personalities.
And I believe that's when they also put the spikes on his outfit too. On his
Yeah,
hands
gave him
and
some.
everything.
Yeah, I gave him some more weapons. Gave him a little more, and
Heavy-duty armor.
They made him a little more less supernatural.
Yeah.
and made him a little more. This is what he does.
More gadgety.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, is that the time? Because I know he goes by two different versions of Moon Knight. His normal Moon Knight, then he does the all white outfit.
Mr. Knight.
Yes, Mr.
Yeah.
Knight. Is that from
Mr. Knight.
Bendis' run?
I don't think so. I think that's Ellis.
Okay.
When Ellis takes over.
Which we
and
can go
that's-
to Ellis now. As
Yeah,
a
that's when
matter of fact.
he puts on this look. Yeah. So
It's on the map.
yeah. So Ellis, he suddenly starts wearing a suit instead of the big cape and cowl,
All white suit,
and
white
all
gloves,
this, and he's
everything.
got
I've
just
seen
the
both,
white
okay.
mask, and he's got gloves, and he becomes a guy who helps the police department openly as Mr. Knight. He investigates crime scenes and he does all this, but he still fights.
He basically has a good version and then a good bad version of a good guy.
Kind
essentially.
of, but he's actually still as insane as he usually is, but he's more detective. He's
Okay.
more Sherlock Holmes in this. He starts
More Batman, should we say?
well, less, but he's more like fighting. He's just tripping guys and doing side moves and
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
like that.
More Sherlock Holmes.
suave,
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
Gosh, who am I trying to describe? Yeah, there he is. in the
Sherlock
suit
Holmes,
and
yeah.
Stuff. Yeah. So a lot less brutal, but still very just calculating and stuff. But every once in a while, he slips into Moon Knight again and starts fighting a little more, and then that's when it breaks, and he winds up in an insane asylum, and he thinks,
Oh.
is he? So,
Spoiler alert.
yeah, Mr. Knight's a little more when he does get brutal, as you can see.
So also in the comics, I know this wasn't on the list, but there's been a lot of first appearances of characters too. We've had in Moon Knight #3 first appearance of Midnight Man,
Yeah.
number 12 Morpheus, number
Yes.
14 we had Stained Glass Scarlet, number 25 was Black Spector.
Some odd characters, definitely.
Moon Knight 29 and 30, he teams back up with Werewolf by Night. Then we also have in Moon Knight, Marc Spector, Moon Knight #4, his sidekick, Jeff Wild, Midnight.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
So we
yeah.
get him as well.
Jeez.
Then also in number 10 of Marc Spector, Moon Knight, we get first appearance by Keith Craft, The Ringer.
So it sounds like Marvel kind of uses him to be like, we don't know how this character's going to be, throw him into Moon Knight.
And that was
But it makes sense.
Yeah.
It seems like it makes sense.
Yeah, and
I
there's
mean
been
that in a
another,
positive way.
Number 60, he dies.
Oh.
But you never really stay dead in a comic book series.
And then Khonshu brings him back. And,
Yeah.
And I think when Ellis took over, he's like, I just got to get rid of all this old stuff. And especially I got to get rid of that Bendis run that upset everybody. So let's bring it back to him. So then he's in the asylum, and he's having these waking nightmares where he sees that the guards are Anubis heads, and that the doctor, Dr. Emmett, is actually Dr. Ammit, the Egyptian god.
Oh,
and he's
snap.
like, so what's going on? And then all the people in the asylum are Frenchie and Marlene, his lady, and all these other characters he's met over the years are all in the asylum with him. So he's, what the heck? It's, what's going on? And in his head, Khonshu is talking to him. And Khonshu's sitting at the chair, doctor, with the big skull owl head, sitting there going, tell me about your mother, that kind of thing. Basically being his internal therapist is going, look, I need you to be the fist of Khonshu again. You see that this is not the hospital. This is not.
He's like, I'm having a nervous breakdown.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you give me a break?
And he's like, I needed you broken. I need you
Makes
broken because that's the only way I can be, I can fill you and be your avatar. And I can be on the earthly plane with you.
Here's a thought. Is Ellis religious? Do we know that? Because that is very much...
His stuff on Transmetropolitan and some other stuff, he really gets into mythologies and stuff like
So
that.
I'm not like advocating anything per se, but that definitely is something that a lot of religions and even mythology, they say you have to essentially be broken in order for your god or spirit or whatever to fix you.
Ellis is just an amazing author who researches this stuff intensely and
So that
then
makes sense.
makes it amazing. That guy could write a laundry list. I would probably enjoy it in some form or another.
Ellis's work has been shown in Iron Man 3, also in Red as well.
Yeah. So he's done a lot of.
But it's a
stuff,
good message too, because they did it in the last Avengers movie with Thor. Like everyone's like, Dad bod Thor. It's a good message. Just because everyone thinks they're broken or they have a situation or an anxiety attack or a nervous breakdown, it doesn't mean that you're now worthless or useless. So it is nice to see every once in a while a character. It's a functioning.
Yep.
It's basically a functioning disassociation.
Exactly, and that's one of the things Marvel does with this is they follow into it. They didn't just treat it as this guy who
He's crazy, go away.
guy
Yeah,
wears a mask and runs around and fights crime, billionaire playboy at night. There's something wrong with the guy. They've already got Marvel's Batman. That's Iron Man. This guy is so much more.
Yeah, I would say that's true because even with Batman, like we mentioned with him, like he always has that turmoil of like, oh, my parents, which makes sense, but he never gets over it, never really comes to terms with it, and even when he does, they throw him right back into the hole. But like it does, to Marvel's credit, with this character, at least it does seem that they're like, no, we're redeeming you slightly. I mean, you still have your problems, but you at least have some kind of grip on it, which I think is important.
It's good to see a hero that has the mental problems like that, instead of like Joker that we know that had the mental issues and turned bad, and other villains that have issues that are always bad.
Well, even with Joker, he had the mental illnesses, like you're saying, but they didn't, till this latest movie, they didn't really transition it into actually being. So that's a good point. Like it seems like with him, I think you need that every once in a while because kids are probably reading, let's say teenagers, not kids, but like, young adults, things like that. They don't know what's going on. They're going to look for heroes and, certainly I did, media and stuff like that. So.
Yep.
So Ellis is the one that started that, and does that pretty much continue?
They'd already done some breakdowns and stuff with him earlier. It was kind of about the time Iron Man was dealing with alcoholism, and
So it's like an age in and of itself.
It was another little. This is just, but this Ellis really hits it on the head. It's and drives it home. And again, is the asylum real? Is it some supervillain thing? That's you read the story to find out. Yeah. So, spoiler alert. There's more plot twists than you will ever expect. So
now, do they stick? Like, how do they carry on? Do they erase Bendis's essentially, or do they still keep aspects of him? Does he now become a new character? Because you know how that is.
He's got pieces now. That's the whole point. Now, when he's shown up, he's still got the Captain America, the Spider-Man, and the personalities are in there along with these guys. And it's like, who's he going to be? Who's he going to?
So he has more personalities.
More personalities now, and that's leading up to the current event, I think, is where you're going. Because I haven't read much on the current event, except the big spoiler page, and I'll wait to the end. I'll talk about that. But,
Well, I mentioned it earlier. It's another question. So, how is it different? Because Legion is Marvel, correct?
Yeah.
So, how is that? How do you think? I would think he would be the biggest like crossover, you know what I mean, comparable character.
Legion has, again, he's been messed with by the Shadow King and a bunch of other Marvel mental characters. You know, like even Professor X messed with his head a little bit.
Of course.
And
Isn't
all
that
that.
his son?
That
No,
in
it
some
wasn't his son.
continuities, he's the son of Professor X, and some when you get into the multiverse, there's a lot of different things like that.
We'll scratch that then.
No, I think they brought that up in the show version of him.
Yeah, that's what
Professor X's
Yeah.
son,
I'm thinking
so.
about that. Yeah.
But he also has different personalities. That's why he is Legion. But in each of his personalities has different powers. Isn't that right? I think in the comics.
Kind of like Crazy Jane, like
Yeah.
in Doom Patrol, right?
Similar,
Okay.
yeah. But each personality has a different power set, so that's why he's
And he didn't create those, so
No,
that's
that's
big
actually-
divide.
yeah, just
Okay. I feel like that's
split
important. to
personality disorder. Where this guy created them and then got stuck in them, and that created a split personality disorder.
Okay.
So it's interesting. I mean, it's definitely it makes you talk about.
Well, he made his own escapes, and then they just became a part
Yeah.
of his
They
dissociation.
became him after a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, he couldn't remember which one was which, and
Yeah.
it started screwing up.
They're
he's a
basically alters.
millionaire playboy driving a cab, and then the cabbie trying to go into the party, and he said, "Wait, no," and it was written as tongue in cheek early on, but then it became okay. He's got a problem.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, so-
basically DID versus Legion, which is okay. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
So leading up to this new event, you said we're not going to spoil it.
Well, we've got a couple more things to talk about in the
Oh, yeah.
past.
Yeah.
Team alliances.
Okay.
First one I believe we see is West Coast Avengers Volume 2. He shows up.
Yep. West Coast Avengers was Hawkeye split off with a bunch of the team. It was actually in a very famous episode comic where they actually appear on David Letterman. And
love it when they
he
bring the
announces,
real world in.
I'm leaving the Avengers. I'm forming a West Coast branch. Hawkeye does it, and they're all like,
Hawkeye,
what?
Tigra, Iron Man.
Yep. Which was
Wonder Man.
Rhodey at the time.
Yeah.
What year was this? Do we know?
This is the late mid 80s as well,
Of
84,
course, the
85.
80s.
And
Ghost Rider.
Ghost Rider and a few others, and of course, hey, there we go, Tigra and Moon Knight. Can't go wrong with that. And Dr. Pym, he's not Ant-Man, he's not anything because this is after all his issues. He's using his gadgets to make things bigger and smaller. That's what he's primarily doing. So it's pretty cool. He whips
Go
out.
big, go small.
He's got this little
I can do
pocket. He
that.
pulls out, and suddenly he's got a chainsaw, and he starts attacking somebody. And the guy's like, "Whoa!"
It's not like I like it. Let's get him in the team.
Yep, exactly. So he's more their scientist. He's their Q.
Okay.
For the team.
Yes.
And from James Bond, for those who don't know, not Star Trek.
Oh, man.
And then was it he?
It's a really confusing comic there because it's two parts. One, you have it in the past in 1800s. Then they have the storyline.
Oh, it's the
that's
1800s
currently-
Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
Well,
right.
it says Moon
That's right.
Knight, Ghost Rider original, and Firebird, and then it says Two Gun Kid and Rawhide.
Yeah, so it's all the Wild West
Kid cameo.
characters. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what they make a deal with Khonshu in the past.
Yeah.
So that's why he has to work with him in the future.
They're trapped in ancient Egypt. All right.
Yeah. So.
The next time we see another team up is Vengeance of the Moon Knight, Volume 1, Issue 10, The Secret Avengers.
Yes, Secret Avengers. Now this is after Civil War, and then came Dark. Was it? It wasn't Dark Empire. I remember it was Avengers Dark Avengers and stuff. It was
Captain Barracuda.
yeah. So it was all basically the villains were ruling the world. Norman Osborn and everybody were running. He was the head of Shield. The villains had won, and all the heroes were in hiding. And then so after that came, they cut all that and Steve Rogers gets back in charge and everything, and he's running Shield now, but he creates a group of secret Avengers that are guys who aren't going to be on the front page and all that. These are going to be dealing with the issues that nobody else can deal with.
So there's Steve Rogers, War Machine, Valkyrie, Ant-Man. So Ant-Man when he's actually Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Yep. This
And
is
their
actually-
newest recruit, Moon Knight.
And this Ant-Man is not Hank Pym. This is
Scott Lang.
Scott Lang. I don't think it was Irredeemable at that point. Might have been Irredeemable Ant-Man, which
I
is
don't have that
a
part.
SHIELD agent that gets the Pym suit and is like a terrible guy. He's like, he does the things you should not do with a
I'm
swimsuit.
seeing there's a
Which that's
parental
something we'll
advisory
have to talk
on
about another
this.
time.
Yeah,
Ant-Man.
yeah, we'll have to go into all the different Ant-Man at one point.
Why is there a parental advisory? Is it pretty?
It was
graphic,
pretty. It was pretty
for-
graphic. That one. This was more for adults. Secret Avengers, regular Avengers was regular Avengers. Hey, let's
Yeah.
stop Ultron. Let's
Secret
stop this.
Avengers went to the darker side of the comic.
Yeah, they would
Makes
go.
sense.
I think and he'd split them up into blue teams and red teams, and he
teams.
would have them deal with bigger threats, and it was kind of a crazy thing, and that went on for a while. That actually went on for just a little. I think about 2 years before.
Yeah, it was a good story arc they did through there.
And now we are at the Age of Khonshu, which just it was supposed to come out back in February, and it is here now. And
So it's actually out where you can buy it now?
the first issue came out Wednesday, yes, of Avengers 33, I think.
Yesterday, Wednesday?
Yesterday,
or what?
yesterday,
Okay.
Wednesday.
So I'm
So-
going to have to stop by the comic shop then
Go
tomorrow. and
Yeah.
pick
to
that
our
one up.
sponsor people.
So and in this one, everybody's like, Age of Khonshu, well, we know it's got to be Moon Knight involved,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The spoiler page, which I can spoil because I guess the New York Times printed this 3 months ago. Yeah,
spoil it.
We can spoil a little bit. So if you don't,
Spoiler,
if you
spoiler,
want,
spoiler,
spoiler
spoiler.
warning,
Wait
go
2
read
seconds.
Avengers 33 first. The big scene that they showed was Thor upset at Moon Knight about something was going on. We don't know what.
Thor's in it,
Story- So, well, it's Avengers. So,
Oh, yeah.
so Thor throws the hammer.
Am I getting too excited too fast?
Moon Knight says, "Hey, do you know what your hammer is?"
Oh
And
no.
he's like, "It's Uru. It's Uru metal." And he's like, "Do you know what Uru is?"
Oh no.
Uru came from the first orbiting thing of the Dark of Night orb or something like that. And anyway, he's like, "Uru's moon. It's moon rock." And he just puts his hand out, and it doesn't stop it.
snap!
Doesn't just do the Hela thing and stop it. He goes like this, and it turns around and flies right back and hits Thor in the face. That's the page that is
The New
out.
York Times. is
The
like-
New York Times
We gotta
printed
spoil that
months
one.
ago
Oh,
when
wow.
they announced this, because that's another
There
topic.
we go. We have
There
it
we
right
go.
there.
Yes,
Thank you,
there
Rob.
it is. Rob, perfect with that.
Wow.
Look at
So
that.
it's not essentially, it's not like a big of a gasp. It's like Steve Rogers can like pick up the hammer, which we all knew. Okay, let's just be honest,
Yeah.
we all knew. But that's pretty significant in and of
pretty
itself
epic right
because
there.
Marvel like really, really, really emphasizes that if you can do anything to that hammer,
Well,
you are
it's
like
obviously
a god
he's not
status.
touching it. He
But
doesn't
he's
pick it
doing
up.
something.
So he's obviously not worthy, but he's been able to maneuver it and fly it
Manipulate
back.
it.
So he's
one
like,
way or
So-
but
another.
he's like half worthy at that.
Well,
sense.
and now we're still wondering because when we last left Moon Knight was that Khonshu was trying to take over his body
Oh.
and become. He's like, I needed you broken. That's why you had all these mental deficiencies and all this. I needed you empty. I needed an empty vessel.
So the question is
Oh, is he-
Khonshu going to be good or evil when he takes over?
When a comic comes out called Age of Khonshu, and
sure
Age
he's
of
gonna
Ultron,
be
Age
evil.
of Apocalypse,
See?
I can't really say that I
didn't
think
even
it's going to
know
be
that,
a good thing.
But that's literally what happens in Dr. Fate. And like his cartoon, in his like comic run, like his god Naboo, is it Naboo? Oh man, I'm losing
Is
myself
it
right
Nimue?
now.
I don't remember.
I think it's Nimue. I went back to Star Wars with the Naboo. Sorry
that's
about
right.
that. But like his god does the same thing. He's like, oh no, I'm just gonna like be inside of you now.
I think that was the helmet. The
Yeah,
helmet,
Yeah.
you
but
be- you
still, like
become
he
the-
became, but he like took over. Okay.
Yeah, this is like I need I've set you up. You've done all your training. You've done all this.
A
and
classic story.
now, and now
essentially.
this is what's going on. And I just remember the end of the last
Mm-hmm.
issue is him crushing the vision of Khonshu's head. He's just like, no, But now it looks like maybe that didn't take.
Makes
So.
sense,
I'm definitely going to go pick it up now tomorrow.
It looks amazing, and that's why I was like, we should probably talk about this because it's going to be something everybody's talking about. So, is he Marvel's Batman? Yes. Is
Yes
he
and no.
more than Marvel's Batman? Yes.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at with it.
I mean, it's nice to see like more of. I mean, obviously he had runs and but he was. It looks like he was in more appearances than he was personal runs. So it's nice when they pull people literally out of the shadows, and they're like, "No, we're going to focus on you." And speaking of Batman, that's what he did. He showed up in Detective Comics, and then he became his own thing. So it's just it's nice to see that he's finally getting recognition that he deserves.
He's also beat other big name superheroes. Deadpool.
Yeah.
He beat the crap out of Deadpool.
Yep. He's beaten Taskmaster. He's beaten.
How did he beat Deadpool though? Was he just like more like Do you like do better jokes or something like that? Deadpool was like, oh,
he
right.
actually-
Nobody can do better
He
jokes
kind
than
of
Deadpool.
out-crazied him.
That's what I was wondering. I'm
yeah.
like, he
He
essentially
kinda
has, you
out-crazied
have
him.
to out-crazy Deadpool,
Yeah.
so I'm curious. Okay, that makes
Well, he
sense.
knew Deadpool couldn't die, so he's like, well, then I can stop you any way I want. And so he didn't pull punches like everybody else does.
That makes
And
sense.
yeah, that was actually a pretty funny run, if I recall. Well, anything with Deadpool's pretty funny.
So I was going to ask a question. It's not on here. There's a new DC show called Stargirl. Has anybody
Yes.
watched it?
I have not. I saw the trailer.
You probably haven't.
No, I saw the trailer.
It's at, last night was episode 3. It was actually not last night. Tuesday night was episode 3. Monday, if you have it on DC Network, they play it there. Then following nights on CW.
I'm just freaking out because tomorrow is the last episode of the second season of Harley.
Yeah.
And they have not announced the third season. I think there was a Twitter about it. He's like, hey, this is where we want to go in season 3, but we haven't been confirmed yet.
Yeah.
Where season 2, I remember it was into season 1, we were like, oh man, that
that
was
is. You
great.
figured
And
they
then they
would
went,
have
oh,
it.
season 2 starts in a month. What? Yeah, but now season 3, we don't know. So
But what about, why did you bring that up?
So because Dr. Fate's, they
Boom.
mentioned Justice Society of America.
Oh, classic.
The original, it starts off with them being beaten, then it skips to a future a little bit. The girl picks up the staff, and can't remember the name of that staff.
Boom.
Stargirl.
Yeah,
Stargirl staff.
yeah,
Yeah.
Starman staff.
The Starman
and
staff, yeah.
It's actually a really good show.
I
The
like,
reason Dr. Fate's on my mind is because he's pivotal in the new Justice League Dark.
Yeah.
Which is like, for me at least, is really big now in the DC universe because when they defeated like all, they did, we defeated magic. But they have to like rewrite the books of magic. And so that was Dr. Fate, his god, was like, no, we have to destroy magic because y'all don't deserve it. And so that's why when Moon Knight, like that's why I'm making that.
is it Zorana who's Dr. Fate now? Was Zatanna's dad? I know that was in the
I
comics for a
haven't
while.
kept up it.
I remember
No,
Zatanna, that was a big deal
I mean-
for Zatanna losing her dad to become the... But he did it on purpose. He's like,
Yeah.
I'm willing to give this up because the world needs Dr.
But
Fate.
in the Justice League Dark, the reason I keep mentioning it, because it's kind of similar to this Moon Knight thing, because essentially everything got erased. That's when Swamp Thing was no longer a part of the Green as well. They like removed his tie because they had to destroy the tree that like made his tie to like the Green and everything, because they had to, because that god and everything was like doing that and blah blah blah. So I'm curious how Marvel's going to do this Moon Knight run, because it kind of exactly sounds like
Sounds
what
similar.
happens
I'm sure
to
there'll
not
be-
only Dr. Fate, but then the rest of the Marvel Universe. I mean, obviously the Marvel Universe is going to get affected. But you said you had a question? Or you were just...
No, I was just seeing if y'all watched it.
No, I have
It's
not
actually
yet.
been
I am-
really good.
I would
I am
like
like
to,
a
since
season
it's
behind.
tied.
I've been watching, I have been watching Legends of Tomorrow.
Oh, I love that.
I love that show. That
That-
show is a
the
guilty
season finale
pleasure.
just
I
happened.
know, it's so good.
Tuesday as well.
Yep,
Right after
so
Stargirl,
good.
it happened, and
Yes, I also watched the show that you
I
were
watched that for
talking about.
Constantine.
I know,
I love.
Constantine.
He's the best part of that season
Yes.
right
Oh,
now.
he's
Is him.
such a
And
bad
I've
boy.
heard their next
So
season is going to be their
snarky.
last. They announced that they are getting renewed, but it is going to be their last season next year. So I'm waiting for
Which I can
Agents
see why,
to start their last season.
Arrow dropped, and
Yeah.
We don't want CW shows. We want more shows like Doom Patrol and Swamp Thing. Like good.
I like CW Flash.
Ugh.
I love the Flash.
But like the production value between the two, do you want Swamp Thing production value, Doom Patrol production value,
Swamp
or do you
Thing's
want...
going to
Swamp Thing's going to CW,
now.
but they're not
But
making
it's
new
not
episodes.
going
They're just
to
airing
be
the old
same
episodes.
production. My point still stands.
I liked, loving the animated Harley.
Yeah, that one's really good.
I am. I just saw the last Justice League. We watched it a while
Yeah.
ago. The Justice League Dark Apocalypse, whatever it was.
I'm
Apocalypse
behind on
War.
that, even though I'm like the biggest
And
fan. I still need
speaking
to
of
see it.
Justice League, we have Zack Snyder's version.
Zack Snyder's cut coming
Yes.
out. Yeah, this is.
Supposed to
I'm
be
not.
3.5 hours long or something.
I have a friend who is like so excited about this that the Justice League is like one of his favorite movies.
Which
is,
friend? Do I know this
You
friend?
know this friend.
I feel like I know this friend.
You know this friend.
I know this
And,
Would it be a John?
no,
No,
That's
no,
one of
we
his
know.
favorites.
Oh, is that one of his too? Okay, so we
Shout
have
out
another
to you,
friend.
friend. that
Anything
we're not
with the Boy
mentioning.
Scout, he loves.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, anything with Superman. Well, this guy, he's generally he likes to find the good in a lot of things that everybody else hates, and he will build those up, and he really enjoys them, which is
Silent shout out to you, friend.
yeah. We know who you are, but you're not gonna watch this anyway. But anyway, because we're good. But
I beg to differ. But
no, but I mean, but we share a love of bad movies, and
Yeah.
like Mom and Dad Save the World, I think is a very
a great
underrated
movie.
classic and stuff, you know, that kind of thing. But then he continued on that path, and like the worst they got, I got into the Mystery Science Theater side of it,
Yeah.
and I kind of broke him because I made him watch a Turkey Day Marathon by accident. I was like, it just needs you to change the tapes every 6 hours. He thought he had to
Accident.
leave. This is old school reference here. He thought he had to leave the VCR on the channel that we were watching to record it, so he didn't change channels for 3 days.
Oh my God.
While I worked and was gone, and so he just watched Mystery Science Theater for 3 days, and it drove him insane, and he hates Mystery Science Theater. Well, I love that, and that's why I like bad movies. I like to make fun of bad movies. He actually appreciates the bad movies. He got mad at the people making fun of the bad movies, so that's where the twist is. And anyway. At least I think. I don't know. He'll probably tell you otherwise. But anyway, so he loves Justice League, and he is so excited about the Snyder Cut. We've heard everything that it's going to cost him like $30 to $100 million more.
What?
It's going to be on. They've only got so much footage, so are they going to add new shoots? We don't think they're suiting the guys up. All the actors are coming back in voice.
Yeah.
So there'll probably be some CGI bits. They're going to use some of the stuff that was cut from Batman versus Superman, which, you know.
I haven't even seen the original.
I
And I'm not
think
going to unless we're playing some kind of drinking game to where like every time I'm like, why did they do this? I take a shot, and then I would be dead within the first 5 minutes.
I did love that.
Batman vs Superman. I wanted to like because I like Batfleck,
Yeah.
Your mom's name Martha.
but yeah, the
It's
Martha.
essentially like Martha.
I think somebody
I live
at
for
the
that, not
studio's
only.
parent is named Martha and just said, we've got to make the Snyder Cut. No,
But yeah, the Justice League movie, I was all excited. I'm like, okay, we get Flash and Ezra Miller. I'm a huge fan
Flash,
of Ezra
yeah, that'd be
Miller.
good.
I love him. But I just didn't like it.
Yeah,
I
and
didn't like his outfit, actually. That made me mad.
I was so disappointed in Cyborg.
That too.
yeah,
I was
and,
like, I want Cyborg to be so cool. Okay.
yeah, and I
halfway
think
there.
you know, they kind of backpedaled on a
love
couple
you.
things, and then Zack Snyder personal tragedy happened while you were filming.
Oh, yeah, definitely
And then they
affected
bring in
that.
Joss Whedon, and everybody's upset because it's funny. And
That's
the
what Joss Whedon
And
does.
that's what Joss Whedon does. That's why Avengers works.
It's like Taika.
Yeah.
It's what he does.
Yeah,
It's
you
why
got, he makes
Thor
the
is
dark
Buffy,
stuff, but he
everything.
makes the dark stuff, and then he makes it. You juxtapose the dark
Yeah.
with the humor,
Yeah.
and that's what makes it work.
Yeah.
If it's just dark, that's why I don't like the Nolan trilogy. I'll be a bad guy and say I don't like the Nolan trilogy, because then you don't have any of those lighthearted moments to build it back up so that you can fall. You got to have the roller coaster.
We're gonna get so much hate mail.
I know that's coming. Sorry, gang.
I'll forward the hate mail to them.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't hate
girl
the
doesn't even
Snyder
watch the
Cut.
movies.
I don't hate the Nolan stuff. I just think it needed a different
It
take.
needed more.
I'm an animated series guy. They can
Yes.
do dark episodes. They can do light episodes. It was amazing. I followed the comics. The Neil Adams runs. He would have some white mixed in with his darkness,
Yeah.
and even Dark Knight Returns with the Frank Miller dark.
But you still had the
You
light
still had
stuff.
bits
Yeah.
that were not, that were, kind of lightened up. And next thing you know, you'll be flying like that guy in
We're very
Metropolis.
passionate about this.
Yeah, so that's why I'm like,
Yeah.
but if they do it as like a 6-episode miniseries, make it 6 hours long, however long the heck he wants to make it, put in all the extra stuff with CGI and stuff like that, I think it's must-watch TV. Even for those of us that hate it are going to watch it, because we're going to be like, hey, we need to know what this is. I need to see what the extra stuff is missing. It's probably still going to suck. But
Drinking games. Drinking games.
Yeah, drinking game would
Drinking
be fun.
games.
yeah. I watched last season of Game of Thrones and loved it, even though it was terrible. So, yeah.
So many betrayals.
Yeah.
What's your final thoughts, Michael? You seem to have many.
I have many. My head's always spinning.
I can tell.
But we don't want to talk about my thoughts. But actually, one thing I did like, Flash, when they did the Crisis storyline.
Oh, yeah, he came in from
Ezra
the movie
Miller.
line.
So they made that a big secret. Ezra Miller actually came up and said, hey, I want to be a part of this. And they said, yes, we'll rewrite one small thing for you. They covered him up. Nobody knew except the staff that was shooting that day. And it was amazing. I was sitting there, I'm like, oh my God, that was the best cameo
great.
ever right there.
See, I was happy when they brought Trickster back on Flash, because
Yes.
I
Trickster.
did
Mark
some work
Hamill.
on the original Flash TV series years ago.
Oh, did you?
You caught
And
me again, Flash.
got to meet Mark Hamill. At that point, he had only been Luke Skywalker and Wing Commander of the video game. And that was why I was excited that he was there. And I went up to him and was like, I know everybody's talking to you about Star Wars, but you talk about Wing Commander. He loved that we were asking about Wing Commander, and he was in his trickster getup, and I didn't know what the trickster thing was going on, and that was, I think it was about the time he was doing animated series Joker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
They
I was
both
excited.
have the same voice.
Yeah, and I was
Yeah.
excited about that, and then years later, we're watching Justice League Unlimited, the cartoon with my daughters, and then here comes Mark Hamill doing the Trickster's voice again, and I was like so happy. And then they brought him back in the new series.
Yeah.
So that was the only few episodes I've watched of the new series, to be honest, was the pilot. I watched a couple episodes in, I wasn't happy, but then when I saw Mark Hamill was coming back as the Trickster, I had to watch it.
The Flash
And then-
is my dad's favorite, but I've never, like his favorite superhero, I've never watched it. I'm not very good.
But again, Trickster, another mentally ill.
Yeah, and
character.
and what's really nice about that is Flash like treats him with respect. They even in the animated series, they go in to like beat him up, and like Flash is like, no, that's not how we handle this. And he goes up and he's like, hey, buddy, what you doing here? Did you rob a bank again? And he's
You're wearing
like,
the suit.
you're wearing the suit. Are you off your meds? And like he's not even being
Yeah,
condescending.
he's like, no, I
just
don't
like-
need them. They make me bad.
He's like, you need him now. Go turn that yourself in, and I'll like visit you later. And
he's
he's
like,
like, oh, it got me again, Flash. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
like
classic stuff.
so much better than all those other people.
So we have a minute left. Where can everybody find you at again, Mark?
ErieFlorida.com, and watch out soon for Erie Travels coming soon. Filming this weekend. Oh, I'm so excited.
I
You
can't wait.
can-
I'm excited because I'll have my camera and a.
And you're in a haunted house.
Yes.
And it's haunted train
You
station.
can find me in
And
my
maybe some
flooded
food.
kitchen.
Yeah, you can find Carrie, find Elizabeth.
Donate some money
at
so we can
Flooded
get her coffee next week.
No,
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds good.
We're going to get someone donate
We'll-
money.
we'll do that.
Coffee.
But then-
Again, you can email us home at comicbook101tv.
Where can we
info
find you?
comicbook101tv.
Your cosplay
You can
thing.
Find me here.
There's all
I'm
these
always
cameras.
here.
I don't know which one to look at.
Cosplay in Tampa Bay. You can find me if you need photo shoots or anything.
In your new Facebook group,
And my new Facebook group, Cosplay for All.
and he'll
Cosplay
take
for
your picture.
all.
That is it. We are done.
See you on the other side.